Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Your weekend is not complete without the First Lady of New York Radio. It's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Well, for me, it's old time because my radio husband, my former radio husband, my good friend and a wonderful broadcaster whom you all know and considered one of the major foodies in this country, Arthur Schwartz, is saying hello. It's catch-up time. And every time I go anywhere, everyone asks me, what about Arthur? Do you see Arthur? What's he doing? So I'm going to let him tell you for himself what's going on in his world. How are you, Arthur?
I'm not great, but I'm on the radio and I can still talk.
Thank goodness.
That's good enough at the moment, right? So what's going on? You don't want to know what's going on, but you can know what's going on in my mind.
Okay.
Because I'm on an NPR affiliate in Connecticut, Robin Hood Radio, and because I think I do, at my age I can say this, I think I answer questions very well, as do you. In fact, I learned from you. I mean, so I want some more interaction with the audience, and I asked for them to email me questions, and then we can do them on the air.
Right.
And one of them really struck a chord with me because I always say I'm a low-tech cook. I barely use a blender. It took me years to figure out how to really use a blender well and what it was good for. In any case, this a listener asked me, first she said, I have 3 items in my kitchen that I swear by, and it was because of you that I own them. One of them, you're going to love this, Joan, is her Bennington pottery loaf pan. And I own a Bennington pottery loaf pan that is my most used loaf pan. And it's not just for baking. I also made pâtés in it. It's just a wonderful thing. The ceramic really heats very evenly, and it's beautiful. It's that speckleware that used to be on all kinds of, enameled metal. I think it's called speckleware. So that I have a yellow speckled one. So that was one item. By the way, they still sell these. I looked it up. They're $42 direct from the pottery. It is a bargain.
Yeah,
Listen, I've been using this pan for 50 years. I mean, I didn't break it yet.
Not yet.
Fortunately. But anyway, so another item that I swear by is what I call a Swedish whisk.
What's that?
Not a balloon whisk like the French-style whisk. It's a flat whisk. Now, this listener who wrote to me called it a Danish whisk, which I said maybe it's just a Scandinavian whisk. So I looked that up. Ends up there is a Danish whisk, but it's different than what I have as a Swedish whisk. What I have is a horseshoe-shaped piece of metal. I don't know what to call it, framed, onto which is coiled a wire, and it's very good because it's a flat whisk. It really gets to the bottom of the bowl and covers a lot of surface. Whips great. I can even whip cream with it, but I use it for eggs. I use it for a lot of things. And what's really good about it is that it gets into the corners of pots.
Well,
so if you're making anything,
that's good.
Right. It's made to do that. The third item that she loves that I recommended was she got this a little wrong. It's not a strainer, but I have a tool. It's a long-handled stainless steel tool, at the end of which is a square-ish, not really square, frame of metal. in between is a fine, fine mesh, and it's used to skim broth. Now, as somebody who feels insecure if they don't have broth in the freezer, I make a lot of broth.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I just made 2 gallons of broth.
That's a lot.
And yeah, it's a lot. Well, it was so much, in fact. I don't know why it came out very strong this time, but it did. It came out so strong. I used a quart of it to make the broccoli soup.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and it really came out, the broccoli soup really came out great because of this broth. Anyway, this tool is curved at the far end so that it really fits into a pot at the very, very edge, which is where I'm going to use the word scum, accumulates when you're at the beginning of making any broth. So when you make a chicken broth, the first schmutz, to use a French word, no, it's a Yiddish word, the schmutz, the dirt, whatever you want to call it, comes up at the beginning and it's gray. You don't want that in your soup. So you have to skim that off. And a slotted spoon does the job.
Mm-hmm.
I think people have their own ways, but I'm telling you, once I got this thing, that one annoying task of skimming the broth at the beginning actually has become fun. So she has that one. So she said, what else do you have that, little things
that
really
you
make
love
your
and
life?
rely on?
Yeah. So here's one. Wooden forks.
What kind of fork?
Wood, made out of wood.
Wooden forks.
Wooden forks.
You used to like that. I don't know if you still do.
I have many. I have too many. When I die and they go through my things, they're going to say, why does he have so many wooden forks? There's a jar of them in my office here. The reason is I never see wooden forks in the U.S. I go to many cookware stores. It's hard to find a wooden fork. But whenever I travel, I find wooden forks, and I buy them. And there's souvenirs of my travels, as are wooden spoons, by the way, too. I have a big collection of those, too. But I must say, everybody's got wooden spoons, and you can buy those in the supermarket, and they're perfectly good wooden spoons, even though I have fancier ones. You don't need fancier ones. So anyway, wooden forks, I especially if you cook in no-stick cookware, it won't scrape up your no-stick. You can beat eggs with it. I don't know. I use them all the time. The other thing, so there's another thing that I have that I really love and is super cheap, is a spider.
What's
that? My little great nieces love that it's called a spider. You've seen them, Joan. I bought mine in Chinatown. It's got a long bamboo handle, flat, and at the end is a web of wire, and that's why it's called a spider. I don't know what you call it in Chinese, but
what do they use it for?
Well, I use it to scoop up macaroni in a pot and get it out of the pot instead of dirtying and getting out the colander. I just have this thing. It's just 2 people I'm cooking for, so we don't have more than 6 ounces of pasta anyway. Anyway, even if you had more pasta, it's great for scooping out pasta out of a pot. And other things, vegetables. You're boiling vegetables. You want to get them out of the pot quick and drain them very well. A strainer doesn't drain as well as a spider because the spider has big open spaces. And by the way, I was watching, I don't really watch food TV too much because it's all contests that I'm not interested in. But I did catch Lydia a number of weeks ago, and I saw her using a spider also, the way I do too. It's great for scooping up vegetables and pasta out of a pot of boiling water. What else? I also love a flat-edged spatula. Now, I have several of these as well, because that is an item you nowadays can find in an American cookware store. Well, actually, who needs a cookware store anymore? You go online and you find all these things. And they cost practically nothing. I haven't searched for a flat-edged wooden spatula, but I use my flat-edged wooden spatula. It's instead of a wooden spoon when I'm cooking chopped meat to make chili, which I do frequently, to make the bolognese, which I also do frequently, to make shepherd's pie, which I don't do frequently enough because I do love it, but I'm avoiding the mashed potatoes.
I know, it's just so good.
Yeah, but the base of anyway, when you put your chopped meat into the pot, you need to break it up so that, into little pieces and eventually into granules, sort of. So the flat edge spatula is great for that. It's also great for when you're getting up the residue at the bottom of a pot from frying onions, deglazing in French, after you fried something or browned meat, and then you've got all that delicious brown flavor on the bottom of the pot. You add a liquid, and you can get it all up into the flavor of your dish. The flat edge spatula does that very efficiently.
Do you find that you're still cooking as much, or are you cooking even more?
Well, let me say this. Number one, I have some mobility problems. So I'm cooking limited, but I have to cook. For one thing, it's something to do. For two, I eat way better if I cook myself. Right. I mean, the only alternative right now is to order in. And I'm sort of sick of all this. I mean, I'm lucky. I live in a neighborhood with several, if not a number of decent enough takeout places that'll deliver to my door. But like yesterday, I did cook yesterday. I took I made broth. That's easy to do. The pot simmers on its own,
Wait, what kind of broth?
The only real I made. Here's what I do. My butcher, I have an actual butcher. He bones out chicken breasts for a lot of customers, as you can imagine, and all those boned out backs from the
gives you.
Well, he doesn't give me. He actually freezes in 2.5, 3 pound packages, and so I always have backs, and it's $1.50 a pound. Not very much.
Not at all.
I buy like 6 or 8 pounds at a time, and I put it in a huge, my biggest pot, which is an 8-quart pot. It can be frozen. It doesn't even have to be defrosted. Cover it with water and put it over high heat. And when it starts simmering, you can start breaking up the frozen backs. Yeah. And then that schmutz comes up to the surface, and I skim it off.
Get rid of it.
And when the schmutz is white and not so schmutzy, schmutz, everybody who doesn't speak Yiddish, is a common Yiddish word. It just means dirt. Anyway, nothing dirty, but just dirt. Anyway, then I add my carrot, onion, celery. In this 8-quart pot, I use 2 carrots, 2 or 3 ribs of celery, depending on the size and freshness, and 1 medium-ish onion, and I cut that in half. I must say this time, because I was not lazy, I can't stand for that long, and I didn't have the strength to stand and peel the onion, I decided to throw the whole onion in, halved, but with the peel still on, because many recipes will tell you to put in onion skin for color. Well, sure enough, the color was particularly good, even just from 2 carrots and 1 onion peel. Anyway, that's it. Some peppercorns, of course, some salt, and I don't put any herbs in. That comes later if I want. And I just let it simmer for 6 hours usually.
Wow.
In fact, and that makes a very gelatinous broth, what they nowadays call bone broth. It's very good for you. It's full of collagen.
It probably got a lot of flavor, too.
It got a huge amount of flavor. And it's, by the way, the finishing the soup is a bit of work. I strain after it's cooled down, and in fact, many a time it doesn't stop simmering until 10 o'clock at night. So I turn off the heat and just leave it on the stove until the morning. I wake up early anyway, and in the morning, when it's cooled down, it could still be warm, by the way. I strain it, all the gross stuff that comes out in a colander, and then I refrigerate it. And the next day, the fat will have solidified on the top, and you can easily skim it off. You don't have to skim off every last drop, but there's a lot of fat. So you skim off the fat, you pour it back in a saucepan, bring it to a simmer. By the way, you can let it in the refrigerator with the fat on top for a couple of days if you're too lazy to do this final part. You bring it to a simmer, and then after it's cool down a little bit. You don't have to cool it all the way down. I strain it once again, but this time through cloth. You could use a few layers of cheesecloth, but I actually have a special linen napkin that I've been using for years to do this. And I put that in my strainer. And you'll see a lot of more schmutz comes out.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for a golden and very clear broth. If you don't mind it not being clear, you don't have to do that second straining.
Yeah, but
and you'll see, by the way, and it's a delicious broth. We could have it just with Lakshan, which is fine egg noodles, or you could have it with other pastas if you want pasta in broth. I guess you could make matzo balls if you've got
if you felt the need, yeah.
Yeah, felt the need, right? And it's a great base for other soups. So I made this broccoli soup yesterday, not the way I usually do, but a super diet version, we'll call it. The broth was so good, I wanted it to shine. So I really had quite a lot of broccoli that I absolutely needed to cook because it's been in the fridge for a few days. So I cut up the broccoli into smallish flowerets. I did not use it. I only had 2 stems. I didn't use them. Normally I would. I don't know what happened to me yesterday. But if I do use stems, you've got to peel them and then slice them thin. And anyway, I just put them in the washed broccoli flowerets into a pot. Put in the broth, which didn't quite cover the broccoli. So I added a little water because it was a strong broth to begin with. And I cooked the broccoli until it was very tender. And then I took my immersion blender. I didn't use the tabletop blender, the jar blender. I was so, I can't stand for a long time. I thought this would be more efficient than it was. I could stand long enough to puree the soup in the pot that it was cooked in. And then I added some cream.
Wow. You splurged.
It was only broth and broccoli. So the calories only came from cream, really.
No,
in any case,
good.
it was very ketogenic. If anybody is on the low or almost no carb diet, this is for you. This had no carbs, a ton of fiber,
right, and taste.
Good, some protein. In fact, from the broth has good gel. It means it's got protein, and the cream with some fat. Keto diet allows you a lot of fat. And by the way, this really wasn't a lot of fat. It was maybe it was 2/3, 3/4 of a cup of cream, no more than that. Mm-hmm. And this made a really large quantity of soup. I mean, we had 2 bowls each for lunch yesterday, and there's another mug full each in the fridge. Bob realized this is perfect soup for cold. It's cold. In cold weather, this is a good soup. I'm into broccoli, Joan.
And
in my old age, I see the good results of eating a lot of broccoli.
Well, it sounds really good, and your kitchen sounds like it's flourishing as always.
Well, you got to have something cooking now.
Well, but
you know what I bought? Because of I'm saying mobility issues because that's what the Queen of England used to call it when she couldn't get around anymore. Of course, she was a lot older than I am. But anyway, I'm hoping the surgery next week will do the trick. And then I'll be able to stand at the stove and really stand at the stove. Now I do things that I can sit down between stages at the stove, or I don't need to do much of anything.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Get into your body's vitals with the Vitals app on Apple Watch.
I wanna get into my body and then my skin do the talking. I
Vitals app tracks key overnight metrics so you can spot changes in your health before you feel them. The Vitals app on Apple Watch. iPhone XS or later required. The Vitals app is for wellness purposes only and not for medical use.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
No, but it's still you. It's something you love to do, and you're so good at it.
Well, I am good at it.
I know, but that's a
there
gift.
are days when I wish I had somebody here to cook for me. Really, I would love a student. I'd love an intern.
Well, you should be able to get
although
that.
I would pay he or she, and and I can instruct them in cooking while I sit. James Beard at the end used to teach classes sitting on a stool.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara Kafka was his assistant. And if somebody needed, one-to-one attention, Barbara would give it. But James would just sit there directing like an orchestra.
Yeah, he
but
did good at that. He was good.
I can do that. So I could do that. So I'm in Brooklyn, everybody, if you're listening and you want to apply for the job.
I'm sure they will.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but
you got to be so particular about who you take in your house.
Well, but we've always had good people who were part of the listener pool.
There's always good people. I'm fortunate to have an angel of mercy living next door, who's been very helpful.
Oh, that's
She's gonna
good.
She's going to take Bob to the doctor.
Wait, is that a new neighbor or?
No, we've been neighbors for 26 years, Joan.
Oh.
That's how long I've been back in Brooklyn, 26 years.
I still remember
So
when you lived in the city and that.
I lived in Midtown for a long time, but not for. This is the longest place I've lived in my life. Even my parents' house, I left when I was 22. So I'm here 26 years now. I'm comfortable here. We're fortunate in having not only a very comfortable apartment, but a great view. We face the park and
that's nice.
brownstones.
And your friend Iris is still...
Iris I talked to this morning. Iris is in fine shape. She's still in Rome. She will always be in Rome.
Right.
She's become a Roman. She's become, I have to say, sadly, I have said this to her face, so she's become a very typical expatriate. I don't want to get into what that means, but it amuses me.
Okay. And I remember her son.
I'll give you an example. She was visiting in New York recently, and she was bringing with her garlic and olive oil.
Wait, to New York?
Because to New York, exactly, Joe, to New York. I said, Iris, well, you don't have garlic like this. And I said, and I have very special olive oil. I said, you know what, Iris? I have very special olive oil. In fact, I know my olive oil is more special than yours because it's from so-and-so. And the other oil I have is from so-and-so. The so-and-sos are Italians who bring me or send me oil from their own organic groves. And I can buy it too. By the way, if you want to buy great oil, there's a website called Olio, O-L-I-O, 2 go. Olio
Wait, what's
to
the
go.
third? Oh, to go, G-O.
Olio to go. But it's the letter, the number 2.
Okay.
Olio, O-L-I-O, the number 2, go.
Okay.
And Olio to go carries oil from a lot of different places in Italy. It's only Italian oil.
Okay.
If you want Spanish or Greek or Levantine oil, you got to go somewhere else. But one of my friends sells through Olio to go, but you can also go to her directly. She's American. She lives there with her husband for, 25 years now, at least. And she is Poggio, Poggio. This is the name of the
Company.
olive oil.
Uh-huh.
Poggio Etrusco, 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 meaning Etruscan. Poggio Etrusco.
Okay.
And her name is, and some of the listeners will know her name because she's written a zillion books, is Pamela Sheldon Johns. And Pamela sells exquisite Tuscan olive oil for a price, gotta say, ain't cheap. And it comes in cans. She also has a decorative bottle that it comes in, but you don't need the decorative bottle; just buy the cans. And I think it's like $26 for a half liter.
Not bad.
$52. Well, now with the price of olive oil, let me say the olive oil that I have been paying somewhere between $17 and $20 a liter for the last umpteen years is now up to $30 a liter in my cheap place and $34, $5 a liter in other places. And you remember Frankie's, the restaurant Frankie's?
Yeah.
They have their own label olive oil, which I think is now up to $40 or maybe even more. But their oil, as well as my house oil, so to speak, is Partanna. Partanna. Maybe it's one N. It's Partanna, and it's from Sicily, and it's not nearly as expensive as Tuscan oil or other oils can be, and it's great. And I think any day now we'll be getting the last harvest olive oil, but right now they're still selling most places the 23-24, not 24-25. And I do like 24-25, meaning the most recent harvest for salad and for dressing things. But for cooking, it doesn't have to be this year's oil. By the way, just anybody go to Costco? I haven't been lately, but Costco always has great oils at a good price.
Olive oils, because
extra virgin olive oil from Tuscany. Right now, early February, they may still have the Tuscan extra virgin Kirkland brand. They have oil from Puglia, which is wonderful. I bought a lot of oils from them. And also, I don't know where you buy it. My neighbor bought it for me. There's Argentinian extra virgin olive oil that's very, very good and very inexpensive.
I never bought that. I'm going to try that.
No, I never bought it myself, but the Slope Co-op, food co-op, the oldest co-op in the country, food co-op, sells it or was selling it. And it was new oil. So
yeah.
It was very good.
That's good. So I'm glad you still go to Costco. I love to shop at Costco.
I love Costco. I haven't been lately. But they have carts, don't they?
Yes.
That you can drive around.
Yes.
Well, I'm hoping next week I have surgery and I'm
What are they operating on?
My spine.
Okay, well, we'll check in on you.
Yeah.
And make sure you're fine.
You sound great, Joan.
And you do too, Arthur. And I miss you, and I hope I see you soon. And
yeah, well, one of these days I might. In 26 years, you still haven't visited me in Brooklyn.
Okay. It sounds like a date. Okay.
And here's what I'm telling all my friends. I have furniture that is high enough that we can get out of it easily.
That makes a difference. That's the new theme. I like that. That could be your new cookbook.
Yes, I know now. For me, the seat needs to be at least 18 inches off the ground.
Okay, that sounds good. So
you can go around with a measuring stick. Because I must say, on the Queen Mary 2, all the furniture was made for 24-year-olds. and most of the cruisers are in their 70s.
Of course, but it's okay. As long as you can get up and out, that's what counts.
That's what counts, exactly.
All right, Arthur.
Have a great week, Joan.
You too. Well, I'm thinking of you. I hope the surgery goes well, and we'll talk soon. Take care. I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC. Or